everyone, welcome to Thanksgiving Paleo cooking class. Tonight we're going to do spatchcocked chicken, otherwise known as butterfly chicken, and we're also going to do stuffed acorn squash, and the stuffing is going to be with sweet potato.
The acorn squash has been cut in half and the seeds have been removed. I used a grapefruit spoon, makes this job a little bit easier. I've lined my baking pan with parchment paper, and then I poured some water on top of the parchment paper, and the acorn squash are going to sit right on top of that. So just like this. Actually, this would probably be easiest done without the parchment paper. I'm trying to make cleanup a little easier. We'll see how it turns out. The acorn squash will take about 45 minutes to cook, as will the sweet potatoes. The chicken is taking only 30 minutes to cook, but I want to make sure to leave a little window to make sure that the chicken is cooked thoroughly.
When you first get your chicken, make sure to reach in and pull the giblets out. You want to reserve those because they're going to make a great stock later. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to cut the backbone out of the chicken, and here's how this goes. I'm just using regular scissors, although it's better done with poultry scissors. And you just cut right up the sides. So it's a little bit of work, but you can see that it's totally doable. We've gotten the first side done, and as you can see, it's just right up here. For the second side, I'm starting at the top of the chicken, so at the neck, and I'm cutting down that way. And you are breaking bones while you're doing this. They're little bones, but you're still breaking them. If you need to cut the skin in order to see what you're doing a little bit more, that's fine. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's tempting, but depending on the kind of tools that you have, you might be manhandling it a little bit. Okay, and I've gotten into the bone here, so I'm just going to work my way around it. Again, I'm just cutting off those upper layers so that I can see what I'm doing, so I can more easily cut through the bone underneath. You want to be careful when you're doing this to make sure to keep a very clean kitchen. You are working with raw chicken meat, so wash your hands frequently. After you've finished cutting it, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to pat it dry. So be careful, those bones are a little sharp. Be a little sharp. And you just want to get all the excess moisture off here. And we'll do both front and back. Especially if your bird comes frozen, you're going to have a lot of excess moisture. So you just want to get all that off. Okay, and now we'll be ready to go in the oven. Now we have the bed of herbs and spices that the chicken is going to lie on. Here I have some lime. I would usually use lemon, but I had lime in the house. And butter and sage and thyme. And I'm just going to place the chicken directly on top of it. Again, I've made sure that the chicken is patted very dry. When you place the chicken on top, you're actually going to break that breastbone so that it's all nice and flat. Some people cut off the tips of the wings, some don't. I'm going to leave these on, and now I'm going to spice the top, but I'm going to pat dry one more time. Here's the herb encrusted chicken. He's now going to cook at 375 for 30 minutes. And by this point, I've washed my hands about 12 times. So make sure you keep your hands nice and clean of that all that raw chicken bacteria. We have our sweet potatoes baking underneath our chicken. Here is my one oven Thanksgiving dinner. It started to get really smoky in here, so I came to investigate, and it turns out my parchment paper is a little too large for that tray, so it's getting pretty smoky. I had to pull that off, and that stopped it from getting smoky. So make sure your parchment paper is the right size for your tray. Now it's time to make the stuffing. The sweet potatoes are done, the onions are cooked, and this is where you're going to put it into your KitchenAid to mix. I don't have a KitchenAid mixer, but I have a Vitamix, so I'm going to mix mine in the Vitamix. Add a 1/4 cup of walnuts. Next, you're going to add in your seasonings. So if you're using dried spices, this is going to be about a teaspoon of thyme, sage, parsley, black pepper, and sea salt. And there are a couple of extra ingredients that I like to add, which is ground nutmeg and also ginger. And this is acorn squash stuffed with sweet potato. Serve it up with your delicious chicken or turkey, and in about 2 hours you have a pretty fantastic Thanksgiving meal.